Hey, everybody. It's Sunday at 7. I'm making a habit of being on time. It's kind of frightening. I'm usually late to everything, like 5 or 10 minutes late, but lately I've been on time everywhere. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it depends on who you are. If I'm coming to see you, maybe being on time is not good and you want me to be late. I don't know. Well, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I hope you ate enough turkey to feed a small country like I did, so I don't feel embarrassed about that. Pretty sure I gained about 20 pounds. Pretty sure. Maybe 30. I don't know. I'll check. But I ate a lot. A lot. And I don't know about you, but I love deviled eggs. And I think I ate about 4 dozen of those because I went to different places. So it wasn't just one place, which is never good because you just continually eat. So, yeah, I'm not proud of that. Hold on one second. Saying hey to everyone. But yeah, so I had a good time. Got to hang out with my son. Got to see some family. So it was a good time. Good time. I have family in California I didn't get to see, but it sucks. But you got to do what you got to do. It's expensive to travel, so you can't do it. But I got to talk to him, so that's all that matters. So I hope you had a good week, short week, which is good. I hope you had a better weekend. And we're getting back to go to the grind tomorrow on Monday. And then we got, 3 weeks? And then it's another short week and then another short week. So it's a pretty good stretch now. And I got headphones on because I see everybody else that does podcasts have headphones. So I wanted to try it. Yeah, I can take it or leave it. Oh, I got a new background. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? I know it's kind of big. I got to shorten it down. So last Sunday was a good time. And today's going to be even better. I got a really special guest coming on. I'm going to bring him on and let him kind of introduce himself. And if you don't know who he is and he has to introduce himself to you, that's pretty sad because he's pretty important guy, pretty big guy. So let me bring him on. Real quick. And there he is.
Hello, everybody. Bud. So
just in case people
thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. And just in case people don't know who you are, just introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are.
Well, for one, I think you talked me up a little too much there. I'm just a regular guy who wanted to make a difference. My name's Damon Galdo. I'm the host of the Jersey Shore podcast, and I'm in construction. I built commercial buildings, and I had 2 young kids, and I decided out of the blue to run for Congress. It was kind of funny because. I was always into politics, and my buddy, he makes websites, and he told me, he said, listen, I will make you a website if you run for Congress. And I said, you're out of your mind. I dismissed him, right away. And then the very next day I was driving home from work, and this is a true story. It's no BS. I was driving home from work. I was at a job in Princeton, New Jersey. I was doing, and pulled over to get gas. And there's a guy out there collecting signatures here. He was running for Congress in that district. So we had a great conversation. I said, buddy, I love what you're saying. I said, but I can't vote for you. I said, I don't live in this district. And he said, well, you seem pretty passionate. Why don't you do it? I run for Congress. And I'm driving home on the highway, and I came home, and I'm like, that's 2 people 2 days in a row just challenged me to run for Congress. And I came home, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to run for Congress. And she said, no, you're not. And I won't say the rest. So she said, how are you going to do it? I said, I'll try to figure it out, and I did, but the best part about it was I got to meet so many people. I mean, the people in my district, people like Charlene and Arlene, people that I talked to you about before, like Arlene, the one that doesn't have the filter. And I love her so much. She always gets her, she doesn't care if she gets herself in trouble. She'll just come at you and say it, but it's the honest truth. But I never knew these people, and right. A lot of people joined my campaign. I never been on radio, not a radio show, never been on a podcast, not on a podcast. I never knew you. I never knew Eddie, never knew Pages Pratt, never knew anyone. And just by doing that, it got me connected to a lot of great people that think like-minded. And I was listening to your podcast last week, and I was like, man, it sounds like me talking with a deeper voice. But yeah, that's basically who I am. I'm just a regular guy just trying to make a difference and loves his family, loves his country.
Well, that's cool. And yeah, that's all it really takes. You don't have to be a career politician or have a bunch of letters after your name. You just got to have that desire and heart, and then follow through with it.
That's basically what it is. I mean, when you look at what's going on with the far left ideals and what they're teaching the kids' schools and all that stuff, and men playing in women's sports, I was like, wait, am I in the Twilight Zone? Like, what's going on here? You know, I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son, and I would talk about it a lot. And I started to see people change, even though my job. So I'm a union carpenter, but I'm a construction manager now, and it's a kind of job. But most unions always go Democrat. But you saw a flip. Like, we're, you know, the Republicans now are for the working man. You could tell that Democrats became elitist and went nuts. They went crazy. And all the rank and file men and women on my projects, they started to change too. They started to flip and see that, hey, wait a second, this Biden-Harris administration isn't working for us, and we don't care what the union's telling us to vote for. No, I'm pro union in construction because we're self-sustaining. But when it comes down to teachers unions and government unions, that not so much. That's a little bit different.
I'm right there with teachers unions, like the mob.
Yeah,
they just like the power they wield.
No, you're correct in that. Yeah, and they're almost like government too. And I had actually got into my union officials a few times because they wouldn't back me. Because I was running as a Republican, and I pay into a PAC, the political action committee, and I was supposed to get money for my campaign. They won't give it to me, but I kind of bucked the system a little bit, and I said, "Well, listen, it's like I told everyone at my job. I was afraid to say they were voting for Trump. I said, you got to realize that the union delegates in the business agents, they work for you. You go to work every day, and you pay in your union dues, so they work for you. It's the same thing as every other citizen that goes to work every day, pays their taxes. The government works for them.
Oh yeah. So, and you had mentioned earlier, like just not earlier, like a minute ago, you were talking about stupid people. Did you hear about the Palestinian protesters who try to block the Thanksgiving Day parade, Macy's?
Yeah, I heard about that. Yes, I did.
I see. That's why I couldn't be a cop. Yeah. Right there is why I couldn't, because I would be handing out wood shampoos. I would be splitting wigs. It'd be like, yeah, you want to be an idiot? I'm going to treat you like an idiot. I just don't understand. Yeah, and it's tolerated. We tolerate that,
and that's a problem. We can't tolerate it anymore. I mean, I always bring everything back to common sense. Like, where did common sense go? You know, and that's what it's about. I mean, if it doesn't make sense, then it's like it shouldn't be happening. You know, it's like, I don't know how else to put it.
I mean, I'm all for protest. And then maybe this is going to piss some people off, and that's fine. I'm used to that. But there's a time and place for everything. There truly is. And that's a family thing. That's a family parade. It's a family holiday. It's not political. It's not anything like that. So for there were 21 of those morons to go out there and disrupt the family event, if I were a police officer, they would have arrested me too, because I'd have just been, you sons of bitches, and dropping bombs on people.
But yeah, I mean, well, I believe I mean, that's what happened with, you know, with this country. You know, the kids are getting indoctrinated in schools. If you go to look at the colleges right now, you know, all the college professors, you know, they're all far left radicals, and they indoctrinate the kids. And the kids, and I look at it this way, that they never really faced any true adversity. They were given everything pretty much by their parents, by government, whatever it is. And they learn these ideologies in college, and they don't really know what it is. And, you know, they don't want to have kids. Like, I was watching Eddie earlier on this, and he was talking about how they were selling T-shirts like, you know, I just killed a baby and proud of it, like, you know, abortion. It's like, it's like, what? Like where? I mean, where are we going with this? I mean, it's not about your freedoms to do that. It's just like, why would you promote it? I would say, yes. I even saw the video on TikTok. This one guy said he was a transgender. He said, my goal in life is to, you know, science be able to make me be able to have a baby, you know, and be the first one to abort it. And I'm like,
there's somewhere when he was saying that, somewhere there's parents going, my God, we should have worn a condom. You know, that you know, there's two embarrassed parents out there.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I just think of common sense, and like I said, we talked a lot, and I listened to your podcast, and I was like, man, he sounds just like the things that I say all the time, common sense stuff. And then I reminded my friend Arlene that just doesn't have the filter. She'll just tell you how it is. And that's and plus, trust me, she does, because she gets on me a lot and just rips into me. But then, like I said, I met many people, my co-host, Jennifer Sharman, and Charlene as well. And all these people that just really have the same way of thinking and want to do something different. Because one of my favorite quotes always is from Edmund Burke: is the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And I think that's what, all the people that I've met in this, small journey so far are that, people that are doing something about it.
Yeah. I agree. I've met a lot of people who, and I don't mean this negatively, because, not every, I think I was talking to Alexandria a couple of days ago about this. Not everybody's a leader.
Yeah,
there are some people who try to present themselves as leaders and act like leaders, but they're not. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with not being a leader. There's people who are leaders and there's people who are great followers, and you need both of them. But I think a lot of people confuse screaming and yelling and cursing and pointing the finger as helping. And I think that's counterproductive. If you want to help, like what me and you do, talk about it. I'm not trying to force anybody to change their mind. That is not my goal. And I don't think anybody in the Patriots Prayer Network has that goal. I think our goal is just to put the information out there. And if you want to look into it, by all means do. And if you just want to laugh at it, by all means do. But you can never say from that moment forward you weren't told. And I think that helps. I think people who go, I think people who get information and then look into it on their own are more effective at making change occur, as opposed to those who just take it blindly and run with it and then can't defend it when someone challenges them on it, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And that's why I think podcasts are so important nowadays too, because when I was doing those interviews before, my first question that was asking people, do you trust mainstream media? And most people said no. But podcasts are just regular people that want to get the message out there, want to talk about the problems and the issues and get the feedback, because the most important thing is the conversation. And that's one thing that the left doesn't want to do. They don't want to have the conversation. It's just their way, highway, that's it. They don't want to hear it. But that's like the same thing on my radio show, because I take calls on my show. And I tell people all the time, I prefer, of course, I like when people call in that agree with me, but I prefer people call in that disagree, so I can, ask them why. Because maybe I could teach them something, maybe they can teach me something, but I'm willing to have the conversation. And the people on the radical left are not willing to have it. They just stick your finger in your face and scream and say, this is what it's supposed to be. I'm like, well, where did you get this from? Where'd you get your information? Well, there's a study out there. What study? Oh, well, it was on Google. Well, can you reference it for me? And I'll look into it because I'm curious. But they can't stand behind it. It's just an ideology that they have, and it doesn't make sense.
They drank the Kool-Aid, and that's all that matters to them, their feelings. They feel like that's the truth. They feel like that's how it really is, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if it's not. It's their feelings and their emotions. That's what matters to them. And that's what makes them dangerous, because they can justify anything in their head at that point. Anything they want to do, they can justify. Well, I feel this is right, so I need to blow this car up, or I need to attack that dude with the flag because it feels right. And that's all they're going on. That's dangerous. They're like zealots in the Middle East. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's how they feel. And if it feels it's like it's right, they're going to do it no matter what. And that's dangerous.
You're absolutely right. It is. And that's something I think we lost in this country is of the institutions, brought up on Judeo-Christian values. And I always tell people all the time, you don't have to believe in God, to have those values. But if you live by those values and you live, you have a community and you're around different people and you have the values it's not just you. It's not about individualism. It's not about just how you feel. There's days where I'm pissed off and I feel like smashing something, but I don't do it because I know it's stupid. I'm not going to do it.
It might make you feel good, but yes, it's stupid and you'll get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. But it's when you remove the institutions that made this country great, and that's what we have. We removed like God from schools, with all that stuff. I mean, and everyone, and I think a lot of it has to do with social media too, because social media, you're not interacting with people. You're just typing, you're texting, or whatever, and you're not actually in a room with somebody talking to them and seeing that person face to face, seeing their emotions, and actually caring for that person themselves. It's just everyone is a text. You know what I mean? Everyone is a message that you send, and there's no real like human factor to it.
Oh yeah, and I think Mike Tyson said it best, that social media has made it far too comfortable for certain people to run their mouth and not get punched in the face for it. And I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
and it's a sad fact, but like I've told my son, that you're going to run into people in this world that don't understand anything but violence. You won't be able to reason with them. You won't be able to talk to them. You won't be able to make sense with them. You won't be able to even walk away from them, because all they understand is pain and violence. And it looks like most of the people on the left, and not all of them, there's a vast majority that you can talk to that might listen but won't get violent. But the vast majority on the left are violent. You got Antifa, who just can't keep their hands to themselves. Black Lives Matters have killed people. And there's just other groups. And it just seems, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems that for the longest time, Republicans have, or not even, or conservatives and just general Americans have allowed themselves to become whipping posts because, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want them not to like me, as these people are beating on them and I'm just going to try to walk away now because I want to be the bigger person. There comes a time where you got to say, you know what, screw being the bigger person. I'm going to knock your teeth out of your head because you don't get to touch me. You can say whatever you want to say to me. You can call me whatever name you want to. That's fine. But the second you touch me, that changes the whole makeup of this situation. And I'm going to swing for the fences. And if I got to go to jail for doing what I feel is right, so be it. But you're not putting your hands on me. I'm not going to stand by and watch you put your hands on somebody else or beat up on a woman or a kid just because they disagree with you. You know what? You're going to look real funny at the next family dinner eating corn on the cob with no teeth. I'm just not going to see that happen.
Well, no, you're right about it. And that's why I just mentioned that to my co-host Jen about something where I said, I wish we could just go back in the day, like when I was growing. I'm 43, but when I was younger, growing up in the city in Philadelphia, if you had a problem
with you, man.
With that,
I got shoes older than you.
Yeah. But if there was an issue between you and even if it was a friend or anybody else, you get into a fight, you punch somebody in the mouth, and then it's over, and they learn their lesson. But now you can't do that. I mean, you can't, because you'll get in trouble. Look at Daniel Penny. That guy is on trial for his life pretty much, even though there's no way he can't get off on that. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming that he just tried to save people. But if you want to do that, and you mentioned people that are worried about getting fired, getting in trouble, they don't want to stand up and say anything. Well, this is a guy that actually stood up and did something to try to save lives. I mean, he was a Marine, and then he did it and just hold it. He didn't know the guy was going to die. He was on all those drugs. Well, he probably knew there was something definitely wrong with him, but it was just his intent wasn't to kill him. His intent was to help the people around him. And that's what, Good Samaritans, they back off now. Now you see people doing stuff with their phone instead of actually jumping into action. And that's the problem,
I mean, when you break it down, he got in trouble for being a Marine because he did exactly what a Marine would have done in that situation. That's what they're trained to do. Neutralize the problem as quick as you can.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he did it, because who knows? I mean, people go, he might not have done anything. You know what? We'll never know what he would have done. And I'm glad we'll never know. Yeah. You come in a public place, you threaten to kill people, and someone puts you down like a sick friggin' animal. That's what you are. You got what you deserve. Fuck around, find out. I don't feel sorry for you. I can't. There were people on that bus that he could have hurt. This guy took it up. The Marine became a Marine, or just did what a Marine would have done. I got no problems with it. I'm glad he did it. So no one else got hurt. The right person got hurt.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad he did it too. But if you look at it, when other people see it, say, am I going to do the same thing? And go through what he's doing? what he's going through right now. And
that's true.
I mean, I would do it. I mean, I would definitely do it. But then a lot of other people look at it like, oh, do I really want to risk, being away from my family, going to court case, with the risk of me spending, 20 years in prison because I'm trying to help people? And that's like a huge problem. Like
I think that goes back to like what I just said. There are leaders and there are followers. That guy's a leader. He took, and you can tell he's a leader. He, without question, without hesitation, he took the lead and did what he had to do. And again, I'm not knocking people who wouldn't have done that. Like you said, there's 1,000 things you got to consider, and you have 2 seconds to consider it, and that's fine. I'm not judging people who wouldn't do it, and I'm not judging people who would. I'm just saying he has leadership qualities because he took charge immediately, didn't wait. And again, he's a Marine. I don't expect anything less than from a Marine. That's just what they do.
No,
that need crayons. I mean,
you're right. I mean, and he does have leadership qualities, but what I was getting at, I'm not putting anybody down who wouldn't do anything.
Right, I got you.
But it's just the second guessing, thinking ahead, like, oh, it shouldn't be like that.
No, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't, and you shouldn't have to worry about it. And he should be praised more than condemned. For what he did. If I was on that train, if my wife and my daughter and my son were on that train and I wasn't there and he did it, I'd be writing him letters and thanking him. Because, instead of saying we got to prosecute this guy.
Yeah, and I understand the guy he choked out might have had mental issues. I'm sorry he didn't get help that he needed, but I don't blame anyone else but his family for that. If his family knew he had issues, they should have done more to get him the help that he needed. It's not incumbent upon me or you or that guy or this woman to treat your family member who has a mental illness. If you let him out in the public and he shows his ass, I don't know he's mentally ill. I have to take him at his word. If he says, I'm going to kill people, I have to believe him because I don't know him. And I can't afford not to believe him. Because like you just said, if I don't believe, he's just crazy and he kills 4 people, I got to live with that the rest of my life. So I have to assume, like anybody else would, that if this man stumbles onto a subway and goes, I'm going to kill people, you have to assume that he's being honest.
Of course.
You have to err on the side of caution. And that's what the Marine did. And I applaud him for it. And I think anybody that's condemning him needs to shut the hell up, put on their high heels, and go watch soap operas for a couple hours, because obviously they have no idea what it means to make that decision. It's like with police officers. When they shoot somebody, they have 2 seconds to make a decision. They don't have time to sit there and, well, if I do this, this could happen. Or they don't got that time. They got 2 seconds, and either they're dead or they're shooting at somebody.
Yeah.
I just don't get people. Well, they're armchair quarterbacks. They're going to be around forever. Everybody's got something to say when you're in your living room, sucking down a beer and eating a pizza. Oh, I would have done this. I could have just shot him in the knee, and that would have been it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always.
You don't have time to think like that. No. So I'm going to shoot him in the knee. No, you're going to save whoever you're trying to save or defend yourself, and that's it.
Yeah.
When we were talking about earlier too, and the Black Lives Matter riots, like I was living in Philadelphia at the time, and it was crazy. My son was very young; he was still in diapers, and I had to go to New Jersey or Delaware to buy diapers for my son. All the food stores were closed up. They were just rolling down my street with washers and dryers from the Home Depot that was not far away, and the Walmart, and we're just looting the hell out of it. So and it was just enough for me. It's like, let's just get back to common sense. People are out to destroy this country, and people like you were talking about, like campaign, and there are leaders, and leaders need to step up and not be afraid. And that's what we need to get the message out there more and more. And I'm not looking for Rambo to come out there and but it's to say what's common sense and say, hey, I'm going to do this, and then without fear of getting in trouble and having the news media blast me and say, oh, well, he did this because of that reason. No, he did it because he was trying to help people, and it was a danger. You should be able to protect yourself and protect the people around you.
Speaking of poor leadership, I don't know if you've seen this or heard about it, that Hamas released a video with the American hostage, Eden Alexander. I think they did that yesterday. And the title on the video that Hamas released with him on the video was "Time is Running Out." So now they're threatening American citizens. And our commander in diapers.
That's not funny.
It's the truth. and Kamala Harris, who is useless as tits on a boar hog, have not responded. I don't know why they had, even if I were the president going out like Biden is, like, I know my time is up, I'm leaving. This is something I would immediately get on. Like, hey, I know I'm out of here in a month or so. But before then, if anything happens to these hostages, I promise you I'm going to parking lot your country. I am going to destroy everything I can get my hands on. If you hurt one more American hostage, I'm going to kill everything you hold dear. And I will not stop until I get my people back. So if time's running out for him, it's running out for you too. So watch your mouth. I got a bigger army and I have no problem using it. But we're not saying anything. We're depending on Israel to do that for us. And then we bitch at them when they do something.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's almost like it's being done on purpose. And if you see the speech behind me, this is the time for choosing Reagan's speech: peace through strength.
Yeah.
So basically, if it's like if another country steps out of line, you have to be strong enough to step up and smack them in the mouth. And say, you're not going to do that, because we will come and we'll pummel the hell out of you. And that's what keeps people at bay. And then say, I'm not going to mess with the United States because they're going to do this. So we're not going to kill their hostages, not take their people, not do all this stuff. But it's peace through strength. And then you'll have peace throughout. And that's what keeps people at bay, is when you have that threat to say, hey, well, listen, if you step out of line and you come after us and you hurt us in any way or threaten us, then we're coming back tenfold. And that's what keeps the world in order.
Wasn't it when Obama was president that U.S. Navy fast boat got taken in the Persian Gulf by the Iranian Navy? There's like 5 sailors and 1 woman sailor on the ship, and they took them for like a couple of days or a week or so, and we didn't do shit. Didn't do a goddamn thing.
Yeah, was that the one we're talking about, the Somalian one, or
no? I'm pretty sure this was Iranian, their navy, and I use the term loosely. It's just a canoe with a guy with a shotgun in their navy. But there was a fast patrol boat in the Persian Gulf. I guess it wandered into their waters or something like that, and they took the boat and boarded it and took the sailors as captives for like a week or so. And I want to say that was during Obama's administration, so it's kind of hazy. But what I remember is we didn't do anything. We made some speeches. You need to give our people back and blah, blah, blah. And I think they eventually gave them back after. It wasn't that long, 2 or 3 weeks, which is long enough if you're a POW or detainee in another country. But the point is, they released them and suffered nothing in return. Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with Brittany Griner. We gave up I mean, listen, she's an American citizen. Whether she believes in all that, I don't agree with her. Glad we got her back, but we gave up. What was his name? The
arms dealer.
The arms dealer, the Lord of Death, or whatever they call him.
Yes.
Something along those lines. And we gave him up for Brittany Griner. Now, like I said, I'm glad she's back. I don't agree with her politics. I don't agree how she doesn't like this country, because I'd be loving this country if she got me out of Russian prison, but she still doesn't for some reason. But it shows so much weakness. And the thing is that Putin knew that Biden was going to be that weak. He knew that he was going to give it up. And he has no strength whatsoever. I mean, Biden went over when he met with Putin the first time that I know of, anyway, as president. And he said, I went there with this list of 16 things that you don't touch. And I told him infrastructure.
I remember that.
What? You're going to give him a list like, don't do this because it'll hurt us.
Don't do these.
I mean, saying we're almost out of ammunition, we're running very low. Like, what the hell's wrong? It makes no sense. It's like if I smashed my head in the damn wall, when I see this stuff, because I really do think it's on purpose.
It is.
I think the radical left is evil, and I'm looking for it. Did you ever? You're familiar with January 10th, 1963?
Yeah, you've told me about that a couple times.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah. All that stuff is coming true with the communist goals. Take over the schools, take over the Republican Party, take over the news media, infiltrate the schools, and the books that they read, soften the curriculum. I mean, all of it. And and I never knew about it until I saw an interview with but like, he was talking about it, and he said, "I'll just refer you to January 10th, 1963." And I'm like, January 1963. I'm thinking Kennedy assassination. It's like, no. I'm like, what is that? So I'm googling it, and it was hard to find. It doesn't come up like right away unless you direct like. And I'm reading it. I'm like, wow, this is actually happening right now. Like, this is back in 1963, talking about how to, the only way you can conquer a nation like the United States that's so powerful is from within. I mean, we are surrounded by vast oceans, so it's hard to, conquer from outside, and we're a powerful nation. So you have to get in, infiltrate, and do it from within. And it's happening right now. And the only thing that's in the way is somebody that wasn't a career politician like Donald Trump. And that's why they tried to bankrupt him, put him in federal prison, impeach him, kill him, because they did not want him in. But at least the American people started to realize that and got away from the mainstream media, poison that they were spilling out there, and started listening to podcasts. Look at Joe Rogan. I mean, I think Trump would have won without Joe Rogan anyway, but I think that put him way over the top.
Oh, yeah. That helped. It helped a lot.
So
here's a question for you based on that. How can conservatives, and I got questions I wrote down, how can conservatives combat anti-Americanism and promote patriotism in this country? What can we do as conservatives to start working counter to that, making Americans feel proud to be Americans again? What is it we can do, you think?
Well, I would say, number one, grow a pair. And don't be afraid.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Don't be afraid of losing your job. I mean, a lot of people that I talk to, same thing you mentioned earlier, like sometimes my co-host, if I had on the radio show, I'm like, well, I got to be careful what I say because of my job. And I'm like, I have the luxury that I can say what I want because my job's not going to get rid of me on construction. It's a little different. I have a feelings box at my gates. Just check your feelings at the gate. You can pick them up on your way out. And I got a sign in my guys. When did they stop making men? And everybody complains. But yeah, you have to grow up there, and you have to, and it sucks though. But you just have to work harder. I see the conservatives and Republicans, conservatives, we embrace the American dream. That's what we want. We're the ones that are more family oriented. We have children. We don't praise ourselves for having abortions, and it's just like, if you want to have one, whatever, do you. But it's like we want to live the American dream. So we do what we're supposed to do is the way I look at it. Go to work, take care of our kids, take them to sports, and we're very busy, but it sucks. But we have to work harder to fight back for this country and do things that we're doing right now. Getting the message out there, talking to people, and not be afraid. And that's what it is. I mean, you have to go the extra mile and just cut the head of the snake off. Because as Eddie was saying earlier, he said the radical left are evil. They are. I'm not saying like the left Democrats are, but the radical left, they're completely evil. They want to destroy things. So you need to step up and, like I said earlier, the only thing that's there for time for evil is for good men, and women to do nothing. And you have to put the effort in. That's what it is, and not be afraid.
And I wrote my answer down because I'm old and I forget shit quick. So I think to counter anti-American Semitism, we need to promote patriotism, and by emphasizing American exceptionalism, fostering a healthy sense of national identity, promoting civic engagement, and highlighting American achievements, I think that will start to turn the tide. I think people will stop looking at America and being ashamed because they've been told to be ashamed. We start doing that, I think people will start to say, hey, you know what? We're not perfect. No one's claiming that we're perfect, but we're saying we're a damn sight better than 99.9% of the countries in the world. And we've been that way since inception. No one's trying to break into China or Venezuela. They're trying to get into our country. And there's a reason. And I think if we beat those drums and kind of drive that whenever we can, I think that'll help a lot. Or it might not.
I agree. The only thing I think it was unfair is that you wrote your answer down, and it was a very well thought out answer. And I didn't have to. I was prepared.
Yours sounded better. Yours sounded better, man.
I agree 100%.
And remember, you're 40 something. I'm 52. I got to write shit down, or I'll start babbling and drooling on this thing. People are like, dude, he's having a stroke. Turn me off. Okay, here's another question. What solutions can us conservatives propose to address illegal immigration and promote border security? What can we do to get that message out and people start to understand that it's not racist and it's not evil to want to protect your border?
I mean, it's the same thing when you said that in order to get the message out. I'll have to go back to like what we're doing right now. You have to keep inundating everybody and saying this is what's happening. Let people know about Lake and Riley. Let people know about what's happening, all the crimes. Let people know about the gang trend in Oragua. Let people know about the 300,000 fentanyl deaths. I mean, everything. And because when you come home, like the regular person, like I said, we'll just put on the TV, watch mainstream media, watch Morning Joe or something like that, which is a joke. And but and they don't really know what's going on unless they're in it or experienced it.
Right.
And once someone experiences it, the people around them, they realize it. And sometimes it takes too much of tragedy for the message to get out there. So once it starts happening, if you can push the message out there further and further and further, then and just keep up on it, and then that's the best way to change it. Because I mean, look at Tom Homan. He's going to be new borders.
Oh,
yeah. No, that guy. I think he really cares. About this country. I mean, obviously, what he says, he would scare the heck out of me if I had to deal with him. I wouldn't want to go. But he's on point. He's reciting. Like, don't you want safety in your community? And like you have these mayors like Oakland saying that they gave people a heads up and saying, oh, we heard about this ICE raid that's coming in. And a lot of them got away. And the thing is too, I'm going to ask you a question for that question too.
Okay.
When it comes to immigration, what that mayor did, she broke the law.
Right.
By giving she did. But Republicans aren't doing anything about it. If there was the Democrats be all over it, it'd be crazy on the news, prosecute the DOJ be all over them.
Oh yeah.
But what do you think the Republicans should do in that point? I mean, I think that we're backing down because we don't want to seem too aggressive. And Trump said, "My success will be my revenge," not going after people. Where do you think we stand with that?
If she's just making speeches, she should be called out publicly. Like say something like, it's easy to stand up there when they're not in your face saying what you're going to do and how bad you are. But when push comes to shove, you're going to fold like a lawn chair. So just shut up. You're embarrassing yourself. A law is a law. And if you don't want to enforce the law, step down now or be prosecuted when the law is trying to be enforced and you stop it. But either way, you're going to lose. Republicans need to stop trying to reach across the aisle and show their belly. We've been doing that forever. And what's it gotten us? Absolutely nothing. It's got our asses kicked is what it's got us. And I'm glad to hear Trump say his success will be his revenge. That's great. I'm petty. I've listened to this bullshit now for 4 years and I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
So now I get to push back and I'm going to push as hard as I can because I have a horrible feeling that in 4 more years, shit's going to slide back to what it was and we're going to be fighting again. So I'm going to get my punches in now and make them count.
And I agree with you. And I'll compare that to, say, Israel's going through with Hamas. Now, you can't slow walk yourself into a fight. If you're a warrior at war. I'm not saying the Democrats, Republicans at war, but I'm just using it as an analogy. But we have our win with Trump. You cannot take your foot off the gas. You have to go in and just keep on plowing. You don't just take your small win. Well, I mean, it was a huge win for Trump. But I'm saying that win and say, oh, okay, we're all good. And then 4 years from now, like you said, we're back in the same thing. Take advantage of it now. Plow right through it. Anybody that's breaking the law, anybody that's anti-American, anything that's going to hurt this country, run them over. That's what it is. If you're in this country and you don't like it and you're protesting against it and you have you're here on a visa and you're a college student, get out. See it. That's it. I mean, that's why somebody like that, I always peace through strength. Like Trump, look, he already has Trudeau coming to Mar-a-Lago. And he got a caravan turning around in Mexico with the tariffs. No, everyone's complaining. Well, I'm not saying everyone, the left are complaining about the tariffs and how it's going to hurt the economy. Could it, if he imposed the tariffs to a certain extent and really went crazy with it? It could. But just the thought of it is already bringing everyone to the table. The threat of it, the peace through strength. He's not even a president yet. Well, again, he's just saying, hey, I'm coming January 20th. So I'm letting you know now what I'm going to do, so you can start getting ahead of the game. And I love it. That's what he should be doing. And if it was Biden, it wouldn't happen. If it was Harris, it wouldn't happen.
True. All right. Let's take a minute and pay the bills, and we'll come back with Damon, and we'll keep talking about the left and how crazy and insane they are.
Do you have old home videotapes that you're no longer able to watch? Need them transferred to DVD, Blu-ray, or your smart device? Baltimore Digital offers professional-grade VHS, mini DV, and high 8 digitizing services. We can also convert Super 8mm film too. Baltimore Digital also provides photo restoration services. Visit archive.baltimoredigital.net. Mention code Alexandra for a 10% introductory discount.
So that's they're in Baltimore, but you don't have to be in Baltimore to use their service. You can overnight FedEx, UPS, Pony Express, Pigeon Carrier, whatever you want to do to get your stuff there, and they can take care of it for you. So don't let the name fool you. You can be anywhere. So I'm back with Damon Galdo from Jersey Shore, SURE. Which I think is pretty funny.
Because we're always short.
Yep, I like that.
We try to.
And of course, I'm Seth Eisenberg with the conservative corner. See, I'm showing off my new graphic there.
I like it.
I do too. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, so we're talking about just conservative things, going back and forth with some questions. If you have any questions, feel free to put them up there in the chat. And if I feel like it, we'll answer it. If not, we'll just laugh and ridicule you. But feel free to put something up. Do they do snuff films? No, Truthful Troll. I'm pretty sure they're not going to put a snuff film on the digital media for you. I'm just going to guess. I could be wrong. I don't know the guy. Maybe that's a thing for him. I don't know. Brian Jackson in New Jersey has called you the second most conservative man in New Jersey. I guess he would be the first.
I know Brian Jackson. He was going to take a run for Senate, and I haven't spoken to him in a while. He dropped out for whatever reason, but he came to one of my fundraisers.
Yeah, he said you're the second most conservative man in New Jersey. So I guess he's poking you.
So I'm the number one. Is that what he's saying? So
he might be. He might be. I don't know. Maybe. Well, then again, he's from New Jersey, and I was born in New York, so we understand New Jersey is a little slow. We give him some
New Jersey is. Listen, I'm born and raised in Philadelphia, by the way.
Right.
So my wife forced me to move here across the bridge from Philly. So
it's all her fault.
Yeah.
So here's another question for you, and this one is a pet peeve of mine. How can conservatives effectively promote and defend Western values and culture? And before you answer, my whole point is, yes, we want people to come to this country. Yes, immigrants, we welcome you. I mean, we're here for you, but we are a melting pot, which means everything gets melted together. We're not a tossed salad. It doesn't just kind of mix and see that things are still separate. We are a melting pot. Either you assimilate completely or we have no room for you. I am so tired and sick and just pissed off that people from other countries come here and are not willing to accept an American identity. They don't want to be American. They hyphenate it. They're hyphenated Americans. I'm a Mexican American. I'm a Latino American. I'm a African American. I'm an Irish American. No, you're an American. Because if you still wanted to be an African, Irish, Asian, Mexican, you would not be here. You'd still be in that country. So you came here for a reason.
Exactly.
Forget everything else. Be an American. And if you can't do that, thanks for coming. There's the door. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. I'm tired of that. Why are we why are we helping these people come to this country and then not expecting them to become Americans and letting them, like Dearborn, Michigan? It's like the little Middle East. They enforce Sharia law and nobody says anything. That's what aggravates me. What's your opinion?
Well, again, it's weakness. That's what it is. And it's trying to destroy this country from within. So basically, I don't mind if somebody comes here from a different country legally and their culture is different and they have, a different ways of thinking and different like family culture. Like, it's fine. That's what America's mixed with a bunch of different cultures. But if you're coming here and leaving your country, you're leaving for a reason.
Yes.
So, and if you want to be an American, you have to live by American standards. That's it. You're not going to come here and change this country to your country that you just fled from. Why did you leave your country to come here? You don't come here to change the country. You come here to change your life for the better and live the American dream. So it's just like, I mean, if you go over the gays for Hamas or whatever and all that stuff, it's like, all right, well, how about that? I mean, listen, I know it's a stretch, but you go over there, they have their rules. If you're going to go, they're going to toss you off of the building. Now, here you're allowed to be gay, but that's fine. Nothing wrong with it. You choose what you want. But if you're like a gays for Palestine or whatever, go over there. And what happens? You're going to live by their rules. Now, I don't agree with their rules. So I don't agree with them tossing people off of buildings. No. But they have a rule. That's it. And you're going to go to that country. You're going to abide by their rules. And I say the same thing. If you're coming to the United States of America, you have to abide by our Constitution, our rules, our laws, and you can bring a little bit of taste of your country with you in a culturistic way, but you're here to become an American.
When I was in the Navy on my ship in uniform, there was a lot of Filipinos who joined the U.S. Navy. And some of the greatest people I met were Filipinos. And man, they got some good food. Man, I could live on Filipino food. But in uniform, if they caught you speaking, I think it's Tagalog, is their language, Tagalog, something like that. If you were speaking any other language besides English in uniform on our ship, you'd get written up immediately. If any officer heard you, you're like, nope, we need to have a conversation, put this on paper. And I agree with that 120%. Yeah, what I understand now, that's not the rule. It doesn't matter now. But yeah, back then it was you speak English in uniform or you face the consequences. And I agree with that. But like you said, we've just decided, hey, it's not that important anymore. Do what you want to do. Come to America, bring your culture with it, try to change everything over here to match your culture. We don't care because we don't want to be racist. So you do what you want to do. It aggravates me.
Well, I aggravate them would be on Christmas Day when I put the toys together for my kids when the directions come in 18 different languages and you have to go and find the English directions. You're like, why aren't these the first page?
It should be.
I mean, to having multiple languages, whatever, it comes from different, but it should be the first page. Why do I have to look for the English? I'm like, it's all in Spanish. This is in Chinese. I'm like, what? And then I'm trying to figure it out. And then I'm like, that's it. I give up. I'm not putting your toys together. Kids are crying. No.
Daddy.
I'm like, well, you learn Chinese. And
we'll put this stuff together. Yeah, when I went overseas, to Austria and Germany recently, within the last 10 years, I can't remember when, we landed in Vienna, the airport in Vienna. I guess that's the capital. And all the signs were up in German, not one in English. Not one sign in English. If you didn't read German, you were screwed.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
I mean, yeah. I mean, because if you come here legally and you have to become a citizen, correct me if I'm wrong, when you go take the test and everything, you are supposed to be able to speak English.
Supposed to be, yes.
Yeah. So in order to pass the test and actually, come here legally, I know it's a long process, but in the end, to become a citizen, you have to be able to speak English. So if somebody is here and they don't speak English, the first thing I think is, well, they're not here legally. Or
I agree.
There's some guys that come to my job, like even the roofers. I don't know where they're from, Poland or something like that. Not one speaks English. I'm like, how'd you guys get here? They're like, what? Huh? Uh-huh. And I'm like, well, how I said, so I called them also. I said, listen, I'm going to tell you one thing. I said, I don't know if these guys, I said, but one thing you're going to do is you're going to give me those earpods that they have that translate. They're like $120. I said, so you're going to buy me a pair of those or I'm not dealing with your crew anymore. I mean, they're nice guys, but it's like, I have no clue what they're saying. So I just had to throw that in there. So.
Like I said, if you want to come to this country, you're an American. You forget whatever you came from. You're not a hyphenated American. You're an American. And if you can't do that, you can't learn our language. You can't abide by our laws and our customs and use our language. And I don't mean you need to speak proper English, as long as you're making an effort and you're trying to learn the language. I'm with you. Like, I'll help you, and I understand that. But if you just come over here bebopping in and say, hey, I'm from, I don't know, hole in the wall, Middle East, and I'm going to turn my town into the same crap hole I just left, I got no use for you. You need to go. You're not even attempting to become an American. I don't want you here. Get out. If that makes me racist, I'm racist. I'll live with that.
Yeah, well, I do agree with you there 100%, because you're coming here for a reason. You're coming here for the American dream. You're not coming here to ruin my American dream.
No.
You know, I'm not, you're not a sovereign nation with wide open borders. And so if you just let anyone come in and do whatever they want and you cater to them, and all the taxpayer money that I work for, that my neighbors, my family, my friends have worked for, is getting spent on illegal immigrants that have never paid into the system. I mean, you see with FEMA, they use money for that. We couldn't even take care of our own citizens when we had the hurricanes in North Carolina and all that, because FEMA money was running dry. They used it for illegals. I mean, think about that. I mean, I'll go back to the Lake and Riley thing. Barrow came over in September 2022 and crossed our borders illegally. He was given a cell phone. He was given a ride to New York, to Manhattan. They put him up in the Roosevelt Hotel. Like anything Manhattan, I don't care what you call it, it's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And he's living there.
It's going to be $10,000 a night.
Living there for free. He gets a free lawyer. He gets a free food. I mean, everything taken care of for him. And then he commits a crime there. I mean, he endangered a child under the age of 17, whatever it was. And then Alvin Bragg was too busy trying to prosecute our new president that's coming in for decades-old business dealings, and releases him. And then he gets another, he got pulled over for a vehicle violation. And then he applies for the Biden transport flight at night and goes to Georgia. And we paid for that. No one knew about it. I didn't know. I didn't vote on it. So we paid for it. We paid for this guy. So we delivered the murderer to Lake and Riley's doorstep, basically. So when he gets there, he gets a citation for shoplifting. He didn't get arrested, but he didn't show up to his court date. So on December 20th of 2023, I believe it was, there was a warrant out for his arrest, but nobody went to look for him. Even though he broke the laws coming across our border, and got a free ride to New York City, got a free ride on taxpayer dollars for everything, broke the law in New York twice, broke the law again in Georgia. Nobody looked for him until he murders Lake and Riley. And we paid for it unknowingly. So it's like, and it's enough. You have to have a sovereign border to have a sovereign nation. Oh, that guy didn't come here to live the American dream, obviously. He came here to rape and murder and take what he can, because he's part of Trinidad Arago again. And it's that. So that's what it is. It's like, no, you're not coming in. Here's the wall. Let's build it right here. If you want to apply. Could we make changes to help with vetting and stuff like that, and maybe speed up the process if someone actually needs to get in this country, and we can vet them faster? Yeah, maybe. I'm not the one to answer that question, but as of right now, all I know is you have a family, I have a family. We were born here, we grew up here, and I don't care if you weren't born here or not, but if you're living like an American citizen, you deserve to be protected by those borders, and you deserve to not have the American dream taken away from you.
I agree with that. And that kind of leads to this question. Protecting the Second Amendment, how can conservatives support and safeguard the right to bear arms? What can we do to make sure that it's not eroded? And I understand a lot of people saying, well, all they got to do is rewrite the Constitution. It ain't that easy. An amendment is not that easy. So I'm not worried about the federal government doing anything, because it takes 2/3 of the states to agree to even listen to it. And then all the states have to agree to it. Something ridiculous. So that'll never happen. But other states can do things like they can charge taxes on bullets, because lead can be considered a hazardous material. So they can supercharge taxes on that to where nobody can afford it. which really isn't violating the Second Amendment because that's not a gun, that's an ammo. Still can buy a gun. You just can't buy 9mm ammo at $10,000 a box anymore because you can't afford it. So what can we do as conservatives to safeguard that across the board?
Again, it all comes down to getting the message out there, because when it comes down to mainstream media, when you see a school shooting or something like that, it's all over the place. Now, they're horrible, horrific, but then you look at, like, well, who's at fault? Well, there's mental health issues all the time involved with it. And then now they're dealing with the parents. Some of the parents are going to jail because they know that their kid's crazy and they're still buying them guns. So, I mean, that's a way too. But getting the message out, like, I'm a gun owner. I have my New Jersey State firearms license. I just applied for my license to carry because they changed the main carry permit law in New Jersey because it was very hard to get. So I will have that soon. But I keep my stuff locked away and safe from my children. It's only there for protection. And that's what, and just tell people what the Second Amendment was made for. It was put in place for a reason. If your government, is too strong and wants to come after you and like they're trying to do, the far left, radical left is trying to do. I'm not saying they're coming at us with guns. I mean, they're coming at us with tampons in boys' bathrooms, to walls and all that. But I'm saying, if they ever were to, you have the right to bear arms, to take up arms against your government and build a new one. That's the whole point of it. Now, people might see that as medieval way of thinking, but it worked. That's why we're the greatest nation ever to be on this planet, is because our forefathers came up with ideas that no one else came up with before. And they work. They're not all 100% perfect. There's amendments that ever changed here and there, but the core of it is what worked, and that's why we became what we became in the United States.
I agree. When it comes, I own a gun. I own a Mossberg 500 12 gauge, and it's tacked to cool down. It looks like something from a movie. Yeah. Because I really don't like shooting it. Because after I get done shooting, it feels like a mule has been kicking me in the shoulder for like a week, and I get a bruise, and I'm like, you know what? If you break into the house, take what you want, because I'm not shooting it. You just take what you want. I'll beat you with it. It's like a club. But I have it, and it's not so much for the government. It's for those idiot people who think my stuff is their stuff, that they can come into my house and take my stuff or harm my family. Do I think the government is capable of that? Yes, I do. Do I think that should be the main concern for gun owners, the government? No. I think the roving bands of idiots that are in this country that have no problem coming into your house, taking your stuff or hurting your family or doing whatever it is they do. That's why I have a gun. And I have no problem at all telling people, if you break into my house, I'm going to cut you into half with a buckshot. And I'll leave just enough that your family can identify you through dental records. And I'll be fine, because my family will be safe. You shouldn't have been in my house. And if you come in, you ain't leaving. You know what? I don't care. But yeah, I think, and to be honest, shooting is fun. Unless you're shooting a 12 gauge, but if you're shooting anything else, it's fun. Plinking at targets, shooting cans. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a stress reliever. My son likes a 12 gauge because he's young and stupid and doesn't realize eventually his shoulder will disappear. I mean, that thing kicks.
Yeah. I have a 20 gauge shotgun, but it's not like a 12. But 12
still kicks.
Yeah, I shot a 12 before. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just fun to shoot. It's a tool. At the end of the day, it's a tool. And I know it's stupid to say, because people say it's cliche, but if a carpenter comes to your house and doesn't build your deck right, you don't blame the hammer, you blame the carpenter. It's the same thing with a gun. If somebody breaks into someone's house or goes into school and shoots up people, while that's horrible, why are you blaming the gun? It's a tool. Blame the person using the tool.
It is. And another thing too, to that question is, what if they were to take away the Second Amendment and they were to ban guns? Who's it taken away from? Law-abiding citizens. Yep. I mean, we can't stop fentanyl from coming spilling over our borders. I mean, even though they legalized marijuana now, you're still. I mean, there was it's funny. There's a story in Lindenwold, New Jersey, and me and my project manager were looking at it. It was actually kind of a funny story. Even though they legalized marijuana, this guy that was working for Uber Eats, he went to pick up it was tacos from, whatever, somebody ordered tacos or
Right.
and then he's driving it to this person's house, and he said it smelled like marijuana. And here there were tacos. There was no beef, cheese in it, beans, nothing. They were just full of marijuana in the tacos. So and it was a big story. It was fun. We were laughing about it. It's like, well, they have marijuana dispensaries. Like I could walk into one without a marijuana card. In New Jersey, it's legal now to go, but they're still doing it illegally anyway. So they're going to find a way. So if you take guns away from law-abiding citizens, they're still only the bad guys are going to have guns, and that's it. And again, it goes back to common sense. It goes back to peace through strength. You said, I've done. Somebody tries to break into my house, puts my family in danger. I rip them in half with that gun, and that proves a point. You don't break into my house. You don't. I own it. I'm an American. I deserve it. I worked for it. This is mine. I built this family. I love my children. I'm here to protect them. It's my right to protect them, and I will cut you in half if you come in here to hurt my family. And then boom, that gets. And people see that. I'm not going and break into that house. Have the whole cheer. Cut somebody in half with a 12 gauge. So do not break into that house.
Yeah, don't go. That guy's crazy.
Yeah, well, then there you go. It's like but legally, you protected this stuff.
And when I talked to these anti-gun people, they go, "Well, why do you have a gun?" And I always answer, "Well, if you're not going to break into my house, you don't got to worry about it. You'll never have to worry about my gun unless you come into my house uninvited and try to do some damage. Other than that, you'll never know. You'll never even see it. Yeah. So don't worry about my gun. You mind your business. I'll mind my business. We're all going to get along, and we'll never, ever, ever have to scrape your face off the wall of my kitchen. We're going to be fine." All right. Well, I've kept you for an hour, man. I appreciate it, Damon. It was great. We got to do it again. I mean, I had fun.
No, I loved it, man. It was great. It was good time. There's so much more we could talk about.
Oh, hell yeah.
Go on and on. Yeah, it's good. And then the inauguration. Are you still planning on going?
Yeah, like I told you, I'm the vice president of the Frederick County Conservative Club. They're getting buses together to get people down. I think so far we've sold 30 or 40 tickets.
Oh, cool.
As long as I can get my boss to agree to it, I'm going to go down. So I've got some time to work on it, but that's my goal, to get down there for the day and hook up with you and see what's going on down there.
Yeah, I'm definitely going. We've got some stuff in the works. We're applying for different things, and my producer, other Damon, he's coming down too. And but yeah, so we're just trying to figure it out and get it all together. But we're definitely going for sure.
Oh, cool. Yeah, once I know for sure, I'll get with you and we'll figure out how to hook up down there. And
yeah, all right.
Hey, hell.
And just so you know too, it's a funny story. There's not many people named Damon.
I was going to say, yeah.
My son is named Damon Jr. And my producer I met, because I ran for Congress. That's how I wound up meeting. His name's Damon. His son's name is Damon Jr. as well. So we were all in a studio, and I'm like, I've never been in a room with 4 Damons before. This is crazy.
That is kind of crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy.
I never met like one other than my son. There's Damians, but never Damon. So,
but yeah, thanks for hanging out, man. We'll do this again. I had fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and have a good one. And yeah, definitely do it again.
Anytime, man. You just let me know when, and I'm sure I'll talk to you this week, man.
All right, you got it, man. Thank you.
You have a good evening.
You too.
All right, so that was Damon Galdo from Jersey Shore, SURE. Check out his podcast. Good guy. I mean, you saw him. He's a good guy. Smart, has a lot to say, and is very intelligent. And he also ran for Congress, so he backs up what he says. He's just not talk. So yeah, that was a good time. I always have fun talking with people like that. It's just, and like you said, you don't have to necessarily agree with me on everything, but it's fun. It's fun to talk with people, and it makes it easier when they do agree with you on things rather than go back and forth and try to defend yourself. Like, no, my point's right, yours is wrong. So there's that. Well, before we go, again, just want to share an opinion I have about something, and I'm not sure how people will react to this, and I'm sure I'm going to upset some people, but you know what? I'm pretty much used to that by now. And you got to have thick skin doing this. So the opinion I'm going to share is politicians aren't the answer. And again, I've written this all down. In today's political climate, it is easy to pin our hopes and frustrations on politicians. We lionize leaders who promise sweeping reforms and vilify those who fall short of our expectations. Yet, from a conservative perspective, this faith in political figures is misplaced. America's greatness has never been defined by government intervention or charismatic leaders, but by the strength and virtue of our people. Conservatism values limited government, recognizing that over-reliance on politicians undermines individual responsibility, local communities, and civil society. Politicians, regardless of their intentions, operate within a system that often prioritizes power and bureaucracy over meaningful change. Government solutions are rarely as effective or as efficient as grassroots efforts driven by families, churches, and other local organizations. Expecting politicians to fix what ails the nation ignores the real engines of societal progress: personal accountability, moral integrity, and free markets. History offers a clear lesson. America thrives when its people lead, not when its leaders attempt to dictate every aspect of life. The founding fathers understood this, crafting a system of checks and balances that intentionally limited the power of any one individual or institution. They trusted that a self-reliant and virtuous citizenry would drive the nation forward, not an omnipotent government. Today, many of our most pressing problems, crime, economic stagnation, the breakdown of the family, and cultural decay, stem not from a lack of legislation, but from a loss of moral and social capital. Politicians cannot legislate away irresponsibility, greed, or apathy. These are issues that must be addressed at the individual and community levels. Strong families, vibrant faith communities, and local initiatives can accomplish what federal programs never will. They foster reliance, innovation, and a sense of belonging. Moreover, the conservative tradition warns against placing too much faith in flawed human leaders. As the old adage goes, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Politicians, like all people, are susceptible to self-interest and the temptations of authority. This is why conservatism emphasizes decentralized power and the principle of subsidiarity. Problems should be addressed at the lowest possible level, starting with the individual, extending to families, churches, and local governments. The answers to America's challenges lie not in Washington, D.C., but in the towns, the neighborhoods, and homes across our country. It lies in parents who take responsibility for raising their children, entrepreneurs who create jobs, pastors who guide their congregations, and citizens who care for their neighbors. It lies in a recommitment to the principles of liberty, hard work, and faith that built this nation. Politicians may play a role in maintaining order and protecting rights, but they cannot and should not be the architects of societal renewal. That task belongs to us, the people. A nation that looks to government for salvation is a nation that has forgotten its true strength. Conservatives understand that solutions to Americans' problems will not come from Capitol Hill. They will come from the character, ingenuity, and perseverance of its citizens. Again, that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. That's just my opinion. And I know what they say about opinions. So you don't got to tell me. Well, I ran a little bit over, so I apologize. I hope you enjoyed tonight. I hope, you like me and Damon going back and forth. Great guy, good answers, good conversation. I look forward to having him back again. Again, there are several podcasts on the network that you should be watching when you can. You have The Based Mother. You have Alexandria 360, Two Guys, One Coup, To the Point podcast, To the Point. And I'm probably messing it up, so I apologize, guys. To the Point podcast, great group. And again, there are lots, and I forget them because, like I said earlier, I'm 52. I forget a lot of stuff. I've had a really good life up to this point. Lots of whiskey and bad decisions have led me here. So I'm not forgetting people on purpose. It's just, I'm I'm scatterbrained. But yeah, check out the shows on the PPN. If you're watching on Rumble, please hit the like button. It just helps get our word out, make us bigger. The more likes, the bigger our voice is. The bigger our voice is, the more change we can help affect. And like I said earlier, I am not here to change your mind on anything. I am not here to try to make you think the way I think. All I'm here to do, and like everybody else in the network, are to present facts as we get them. And then you can do with them as you see fit. If you choose to ignore them, that's fine. That's on you. If you choose to follow them and learn more about it and look into them, that's fine. That's on you. We just present them, and then what you do with them is up to you. And like I said, you can never say that you weren't told after we've told you the facts. So you can never claim ignorance. Again, it's great that you all hang out with me on Sunday nights. It's awesome. It's humbling that you would spend your time listening to me go on for about an hour and 11 minutes now. But thank you. Thank you. It's awesome. I don't know what else to tell you, but thank you. Next Sunday, I'll be back. Might have another guest speaker. That way you don't have to listen to me talk solo for like an hour, because I know that would probably drive anybody insane after a while. So I'll work on that, getting them here. Yeah. So thanks for hanging out. Have a good evening. Have a good work week. Let's get to the weekend next weekend so we can relax and hang out with our family. I'm trying to think of anything else, and that's really all I got. If you have any questions about anything I've talked about, you can contact me at the Conservative Corner on X. You can on Facebook at the Conservative Corner, or you can just ask a question in here. But again, thank you for hanging out. And just remember, if you follow your principles, you'll never, ever make a decision you'll be ashamed of, and you can always hold your head high. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all next week.